Have you ever wondered how cyber attackers manage to breach even the most robust security systems? In the vast world of cybersecurity, social engineering attacks have emerged as a major threat. This isn't about breaking codes or hacking systems, but rather an exploitation of our human vulnerabilities. These attacks play on our trust, our curiosity, and even our fear. Social engineering attacks are a form of psychological manipulation aimed at tricking people into making security mistakes or giving away sensitive information. The first phase of a social engineering attack is information gathering. This is where the attacker starts to lay the groundwork for their nefarious plans. They begin by collecting as much data as they can about their target. This could be an individual, a company, or even an entire system. It's all about knowing the enemy. The information sought can range from personal details such as names, addresses, and dates of birth, to more technical data like IP addresses, operating systems, and software vulnerabilities. Every piece of information is a potential key to unlock the door to unauthorized access. Now you might ask, where do these attackers get all this information? Well, they have a wide range of sources, but some of their favorites are social media platforms and public databases. These platforms are goldmines of information, often voluntarily provided by the targets themselves. From a simple tweet about a new job to a Facebook post about a favorite pet, attackers can piece together a detailed profile of their target. They might also use more direct methods like phishing emails or phone calls, posing as a trusted source to trick the target into revealing sensitive data. It's a game of deception and manipulation, and the attacker is always trying to stay one step ahead. Now, why is all this information gathering important? Well, it's simple. The more the attacker knows about their target, the easier it is to plan and execute the attack. In this phase, the attacker's goal is to gather as much information as possible to plan the attack effectively. Once the attacker has enough information, they move on to the second phase, which is relationship building. At this juncture, the game of trust and manipulation begins. This is where the attacker starts to weave their web of deceit using the information they gathered in phase 1. In this stage, the attacker's goal is to gain the target's trust. They might impersonate a trusted figure or organization, such as a bank, an IT support agent, or even a colleague. Imagine receiving an email from your bank alerting you about a potential security breach. Or perhaps a call from an IT support agent claiming your computer has a virus. These are all common ploys used by attackers. Creating a sense of urgency is another tactic. The aim here is to rush the target into making a decision without giving them enough time to think or verify the information. By doing so, the attacker increases the likelihood of the target falling into the trap. The attackers are not just building a relationship, they are building a facade, a believable scenario that convinces the target to let their guard down. It's a psychological game, exploiting the human tendency to trust and help others. By building a relationship, the attacker manipulates the target into revealing sensitive information or performing actions that compromise security. This is the crux of phase 2, relationship building, a crucial step in a social engineering attack. The third phase in a social engineering attack is exploitation. Now, this is where things start to get a bit tricky. Once the attacker has gathered information and built a relationship with the target, they move on to the exploitation phase. Here, the attacker uses the trust they've built to exploit their targets. It's all about manipulation and deception, turning the trust they've painstakingly built into a weapon against the unsuspecting victim. One common form of exploitation is phishing. This is where the attacker, posing as a legitimate entity, tricks the victim into revealing sensitive information, like passwords or credit card numbers. They might send a seemingly harmless email asking the victim to verify their account details or perform some other seemingly routine task. Then we have baiting, which is like the digital equivalent of the old carrot on a stick trick. The attacker lures the victim with the promise of a reward, maybe a free software upgrade, a discount, or some exclusive content. The catch? The victim needs to provide some information or perform a certain action that compromises their security. And let's not forget about pretexting. This is perhaps the most creative form of exploitation. Here, the attacker invents a scenario, a pretext, to trick the victim into performing an action or revealing information. It could be a phone call from the bank or an IT support person needing access to their system. In the exploitation phase, the attacker's goal is to deceive the target into compromising their own security. The final phase of a social engineering attack is execution. After a thorough information gathering process, building relationships, and exploiting vulnerabilities, the attacker enters the execution phase. This is when the attacker capitalizes on the access they've been able to secure. The objectives can vary greatly depending on the attacker's goals. For some, it may be about stealing sensitive data, such as credit card information, social security numbers, or proprietary business information. For others, it may involve installing malware or ransomware into the system, essentially holding the target's data hostage. Regardless of the objective, the consequences for the target can be severe. From financial loss to reputational damage, the impact can be long-lasting and devastating. In the execution phase, the attacker achieves their objective, leaving the target to deal with the aftermath. This is why it's so essential to be aware of social engineering tactics and take proactive measures to protect against them. Understanding the phases of a social engineering attack is key to preventing them. Let's quickly go over them again. First, there's information gathering, where the attacker learns about the potential target. Then comes relationship building, where the attacker establishes trust with the victim. The third phase is exploitation, where the attacker manipulates the victim to gain access or information. Finally, there's the execution phase, where the attacker uses the acquired information to their advantage. Now, how do we protect ourselves against these attacks? Education is paramount. Being aware of the common tactics used in social engineering and understanding the signs can make all the difference. Vigilance is our second armor. Always question unusual requests or suspicious communications. Lastly, strong policies and procedures can provide a solid barrier against these attacks. Remember, the first line of defense against social engineering attacks is awareness and understanding. Stay safe out there.